Serious, what are some creepy, unexplainable events or encounters from your life? Was alone in my two-story house. Stayed behind because I was sick and family went to visit a friend of my dad's. Was reading in the living room. Back when I used to read a lot. When at noon on the dot came what sounded like footsteps upstairs. Really noticeable due to the hardwood floors up there. I brushed it off for about 2 seconds when they slowly walked to the room right above me. Stopping exactly above me, I stared horrified at the ceiling, trying to rationalize what it could be. But my pets were outside. No one else was home. And the upstairs windows were painted shut. Then came 2 stomps while whatever it was above me in that room before silence. I honestly waited a good hour before working the courage to go check it out. I found my shoes in that spot, neatly put together with toes pointed my direction. Still don't know what happened. Holy shit, this made a chill go down my spine. Genuinely the first comment I've seen on this entire post that freaked me out. I had an imaginary family. Even a dog. I'd tell everyone my parents were looking after me until my real parents came to get me. My imaginary dad was a boxer in the army. I was convinced they were going to take me away. My imaginary mom was just beautiful. My dog was a little black dog called Barney. I'm not sure when exactly I stopped seeing them, but it was later than what would be considered normal. When I was in my 20s, I lost a baby. About 4 weeks after, I contemplated suicide. The day I was going to do it, I woke up to my imaginary mom just sat on the bed next to me telling me not to be so silly and to be strong. She hugged me so tight and it was like all the pain melted away for a moment. Woke up the next day and life didn't seem so terrible anymore. Coincidentally just commented this somewhere, but my deceased grandma used to have a game that I played with my sister where the goal was to lose all your money as fast as possible. The game included a small casino and roulette table. We inherited the game when my grandma passed away. We found the game again when we were around 15 to 16 years old. My sister and I jokingly started asking questions like, if you had a dog named X, land on the block 15 inches, and it did. We asked more specific questions with specific numbers the ball had to land on. And honestly, it worked every single time. Creeped me out at first. But later I was glad and got kind of emotional BC of it. BC of this, I believe I will see my loved ones again later. And I feel like my grandma is watching over me. Also, I think she's doing good. And she suffered a lot when she was dying. So that gave some peace. As a kid I liked to pretend I was a book character sometimes. Leaving my grandparents' house I gave them an unusually nice goodbye, and replaying it in my head as I walked out the door, my internal narrator said, and that was the last time she ever saw the monsieur. I pushed that thought away. But it was true. My grandmother passed away about a week later in the hospital, and I couldn't visit her while she was in there because kids weren't allowed. That's not even creepy, that's just sad. This was about 10 or 11 years ago. I was laying in the middle of my bed just watching TV when my phone went flying off of my night table and landed about 6 feet away. It was as if someone slapped it off of the table, but it was just me chilling and not moving. My grandpa passed away a few weeks ago, and during the exact time per day that he was estimated to have died, I had a dream about Hi Monsieur. Another family member died previously a week before that, and I also had a dream about Hi Monsieur. This is sort of horrible but also nice. I can relate to this. Are you coping okay? Both of them had bad health and it was going downhill, but it was going to happen soon since one had dementia and drank a lot. The other lived a long life. I've shared this story before. In the middle of a dream, a guy stopped me and said he needed help. He kept repeating his name and saying, "Remember my name when you wake up. I need help." Quote. I woke up and Googled the name even though it was a weird spelling of the first name. There were a few social media accounts for a guy with that name, but they'd all gone inactive a year before. I wrote the name down and randomly looked him up 5 years later. He was alive and seemed to be doing good. Keep an eye on Hi Monsieur. I vividly saw spirits or demons as a kid. Few instances. When I was 5, I vividly saw a buffalo's skull with glowing eyes through a glass window at my grandparents' house when no one was home, and turned to my cousin if she saw anything. She told me with the uttermost confidence and flat voice, God is just testing you to see if you're scared of anything besides him. At the same house. 6. In the backyard. I was playing in the backyard and I was alone and it was dark. I saw Giant's veiny cat eyes glowing in the dark, slowly gazing towards me as I ran away in panic. I had panic attacks and everyone was just saying, God is testing you to see if you're scared of anyone but him. I was 8 and I was just watching a movie while I felt the urge to turn my head to the hallway, and there was a tall, pale white woman with dark hair covering her face in a white lacy long wedding gown going towards the kitchen while I was in the living room. I chased after her and there was nothing. My parents kept saying the same God is just testing you thing. I'm still freaked out by this. I'm more freaked out by your family. That's a bizarre response from your family to me. Do you feel that was a reasonable or logical response from them? They're religious. Also, apparently my ancestors were gypsies, which might explain something like I wrote for the other user. My great-grandpa supposedly enslaved a spirit to do house bidding. He only let the spirit go with a deal that the next 7 generations shall be protected from evil, and any item from their house of gifted to another person shall also provide protection, but the spirit also put in that the properties shall easily get dirty after cleaning, and that's been painfully accurate. A couple years ago, was outside after sunset and stargazing, trying to spot constellations. I then saw an object zip across the sky. It was barely visible, but I could see it was round and had 5 lights arranged in an irregular pattern. Judging by these lights, it was spinning as it flew. I could tell it was flying low and moved very fast. It was only in my vision for about 3 seconds. Despite its proximity, it was completely silent. No engine sounds or whooshing or anything. I've never seen anything like that before or since. I was stargazing this summer and saw like 30 things fly by in a perfect line and thought I was going crazy. Then when I was going through online news, it ended up being an Elon Musk project. Some satellites, I think. But man, that was weird. Probably shouldn't be writing this at 1 a.m. But when I was little, I was seeing shadows even if there was no one. Shadows of people. Even animals sometimes. It got to the point where I just thought it was normal. I told my mom last year about it and she freaked out. It's been about 7 years since I've last seen them. Sorry. On mobile because my laptop getting fixed. I was at my friend's house a few months ago and he invited 2 other people. We were in his room playing video games and talking about girls. Typical high school shit. Then all of a sudden, the person who invited me over and I heard loud sets of footsteps in his living room or kitchen, like work boots on a wood floor. We were confused because we knew we were the only ones in the house. Despite having dogs and cats, but they were small dogs and cats, they couldn't make those loud of footsteps. I checked throughout the house but found no one. But his laundry room door was opened, which was strange, so I checked and no one. I walk back up to his room and hear it again 5 minutes later. Now I'm a bit disturbed but not yet scared, so I check throughout the house again and no one. Now I go back to his room and it's been like 45 minutes when we all hear the door slam against the wall and heavy footsteps run up the stairs. I shut the door as fast as possible and try to keep it closed with all my might, and it's barely closed. My friend has a pellet gun powered by CO2 and we count down to 3 and I open the door and he shoots it, but no one was there. He shot his window and no one was slamming against his bedroom door. We all talked about it and never decided to tell anyone until now, since I'm telling you. To this day it can't be explained. I've been back to his house, but after that night it hasn't happened again. I haven't really had many encounters with the paranormal, creepy, etc. situations, but one always seems to come to my mind. It's quite perplexing to me and occurred in my middle school days, I believe. I woke up to find a NZ magnet with designs that I have never seen before, and it kind of freaked me out because of that. I asked my mother if she had ever seen it, and she replied with a simple no. My dad nor my brother knew, but they assumed it came from my grandparents, who traveled a lot. Yet, I hadn't seen my grandparents at all recently, and they didn't travel recently. It seems really stupid now, but it still bothers me that a random magnet appeared one morning and nobody knew where it came from, monsieur. I feel like magnets always have a way of just appearing out of nowhere. Fucking magnets. How do they work? Demons and rainbows, of course. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.